What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and bringing another little nugget to add to the Soul Tribe archive. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the moon in Capricorn in the 10th house. And this is an interesting one for the moon to be in. Now, when you talk about the moon is associated with our emotions, and how they can wax and wane, just like the moon. The moon is a very cyclical luminary or celestial body, and I find with the moon, this is where we learn how to take care of ourselves and learning about the things that how we want to be nurtured and how we want, again, how we take care of the body and how we nourish the body, and what we need in order to feel better, to feel regulated. That's the nature of the moon there, to get in sync with your cycle and stay in, to try to stay in as in tune with that as possible through this journey. And then you talk about Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and they are the cardinal earth sign, and they are receptive or yin in nature. And I find with Capricorn, it's a very interesting one, that they are the where matter materializes, where it first materializes, where we get the idea of manifestation. I even think for Capricorn, because Saturn helps give things form. And so Capricorn is the ones that I find where when they have that vision, they can build this, whatever it is that they're wanting to create there. And again, that first starts with the body, and what are your expectations with that, and the responsibility that comes through with that. There is a heaviness that comes with Capricorn, just because when we're creating these things, we are in control of how they grow. And so that's something I find with Capricorn. They really do have this capacity through that discipline, through that hard work, through that tenacity, that they can leave behind these really great legacies and really build these just great foundations, and the sense of accomplishment that, again, that takes time with Capricorn, of course, because they have that Saturnian influence. But the more time that something needs, the grander the vision. So that's just something, I think, to think about with Capricorn. And then you have the 10th house. The 10th house is one of the angular houses, and it's known as the midheaven. And some of the themes that the 10th house is going to cover will deal with like your rank, your reputation, any sort of honors, your public role in society. This would deal with your occupation, your professions, any sort of mastery over a skill or action. This could also be your ambitions, advancements, achievements, things along those lines. So when you're working with this placement, a couple things to think about. One, you'd have an Aries rising by whole sign, and you're going to want to look to Saturn, because Saturn is going to be responsible for this house, in your house of the 11th house, your house of your friends, your patrons, benefactors, your hopes and wishes, things along those lines. And then you're going to want to look to the 4th house, because that's the house that the moon's going to rule, and those themes, the home space, your foundation, are going to flow to this house, to this 10th house here. So when we're working with this placement, when I say this is a tricky place for the moon to be, it's the sign, because the moon finds herself in detriment in Capricorn. And when a celestial body is in detriment, that just means they're in the opposite sign of their home sign, which for the moon is Cancer. And I find where the moon here is that things are a bit heavier in Capricorn, where the moon is used to going with the water and feel things are more fluid in Cancer, where she's able to change shape and go through those feelings. Here, now, the things are heavier in Capricorn and denser, and there's more responsibility, especially with what you want to be and what you want to contribute in life. And so that's where naturally there may be that opposition with, who do I want to be, this dream that you have, this thing that you're feeling that you want to build, and maybe it's the time that it takes to build something. Let's say if you want to, let's say you just want to become just like a doctor, for example. That's years of schooling and continued schooling. There are going to be times where you're succeeding, where you might fail, where there are going to be just always obstacles. And it's just like, the challenge would be with that moon placement is to, all right, remember the goal, remember the focus. And that's going to be where it's just like, okay, if I can remember to hold that feeling, even when I'm not, making sure to check in. I think maybe the moon can get maybe a bit overzealous, or maybe wanting to work too over hard and put its feelings aside in order for its accomplishments there. Maybe it wants to achieve, maybe there have been pressures from maybe like the home space to achieve something else that's not something that is in alignment with you. So that may be even something where you find some struggles there, like finding what you actually want to do. Maybe it's something that, again, there's a lot of influence between the home space and others, and what their expectations are from you. And I think it really needs to come back to that sense of self. What do I expect from me? What is my foundation? What do I want to achieve? And then others kind of coming into line with that. And then if that's not the case, then we need to change that foundation. Maybe we need to, maybe you come from a line of people who do military service, but you don't want to do that. You want to become a lawyer. Or maybe come from a line of doctors and you want to become a musician. You become from a line of this and you want to do that. Whatever this is, having that strong sense of who you are, what you want to master. Because I think that when you do that, you'll find that your ambitions, because just because the moon is uncomfortable here, that doesn't mean that she can't function here. It's just we have to work with those earthly themes, when we're working with Capricorn, and thinking about the long haul and having patience and things like that. But you work on those things, you keep showing up, and whatever that looks like for you, you're going to accomplish your goals. The moon will see to it, because the moon really does promote growth. And so I think it's remembering to keep that inner fire alive. Being an Aries rising, meet that challenge. Have that be that where it's like, okay, this is my will that I want to express. This is the thing that I really feel in me that I want to do. So, and even if you want to carry on the legacy of like, let's say maybe you come down, maybe you inherit a store or whatever that might look like, I think that it's making sure where you can hold that family dream, but make sure that you're inserting yourself in that as well, that you're not going to do it like your ancestor did, like your parents, your grandparents, your parents, grandparents, parents, whatever that looks like. This is going to be your legacy. This is your chapter in life. And that may be something too, if you're not sure what you want to do. That fourth house can call upon, kind of like deal with like ancestry. So maybe you find a lot of inspirations from your lineage. Maybe you find that you come from a line. Maybe you just weren't aware of this. Do a little digging. You may find that you come from a line of like astrologers, or from a line of doctors, from a line of farmers, again, carpenters, artists. And it's just like, oh, well, maybe I need to tap into this side of myself, explore this side of me. So, but this could be one, I think, too, where you could get a lot of recognition for because there's a groundedness to the moon, and I feel like that having that level, being able to regulate and to be able to, I think that there can be just like a recognition for that as well. Someone who maybe is highly ambitious, but still has that emotional capacity as well. There's still that empathy and like that motivation for others as well. That might be even be something too, where you create courses for other people to, to help them get to where they need to be, help them build a foundation and things like that. Give that stuff form. So that could even be something else that maybe comes up there. But this is just like a very just kind of general example of how this could be. You definitely need the rest of the chart to get a better picture of how this energy could manifest here. But if you have this or know someone who's working with this placement, down in the comment section, let us know how this has showed up for you. And then if you want to work more intentionally with these placements, maybe explore some thoughts, some things that you hadn't considered before, or whatever that might look like. In the description box, there's a link to, or my email's down there to get in touch with me, talk about the different services that I provide, and then we'll go from there. And then if you want to work with the transits, as far as like what's going on, the celestial chit chat that's going on up in the sky, on this same channel, I do weekly videos that come out every Mercury day. That's a Wednesday. And it's just how to work with the planets and where they're at, and just how to, set intentions and things like that. And speaking of working with the moon, if you want to follow the moon more closely, there's a link for my other channel, The Sheridan Friends, where I talk about what sign the moon's in, what phase she's in, when she's going forward. Of course, just all those lunar shenanigans. So if that's something you want to develop a closer relationship with Luna, then that's available for you as well. But until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you on the next one. Later.